Welcome back to my Stitch Diaries episode 2. Now thank you for all the sprout love on my last video. Everybody seems to love the sprouts. They're just adorable, aren't they? Who couldn't resist a little crochet sprout, you know, even if you don't crochet. Anyway, I just want to let you know what I've been up to since I last recorded my video. Now I actually had that video ready for you on Thursday last week. It's Tuesday the 9th of November now, so this was basically Thursday last week, but I didn't put the video up like onto public until the Monday, because I was hoping that the people who was getting the postcards would receive them, but so far I've only heard back from one person. So but I just thought I needed to just get that video out because it was going on so long. So but now, you know, we're carrying on to the next one, so fingers crossed they get their postcards today for the people that haven't got them yet. Well, as it happened, what I got up to then on the Thursday evening, I started to have a look for the yarn to make another little Christmas mouse, and it's an Amanda Berry pattern. Now I made this one last year, and this is the little ski mouse it's a cotton yarn, Rico Arumi, and I've had a delve around, and I don't think I made any of the others. I think it was the only one I made, so I was really interested in making another one. So I was having a look through my stash of things, and then I just got a bit distracted, as you do, and I came across this yarn. And I thought, oh gosh, and it's like a sock yarn. Oh gosh, that's so exciting. So it was just totally spontaneous. I started to knit a sock. And then let me just grab my photographs off here so I can talk to you about what I'm going to show you. Right, I'll pop that there so I can see it. Right. So I came across my sock yarn. Let me just push that back out of shot. It's a bit unsightly, isn't it? I've got so many things on here. The trouble is, when I start to push things, everything starts to drop. Right, you see it a little bit. And I came across the magazine in there, and obviously I wanted to knit these. However, these socks, now this is a magazine from like 2015, so I've had it a while, and these socks you knit it with leftover pieces, but this is a self-striping yarn. So basically I started knitting these socks, so I'll pop a photograph on for you now so I'll see what I'm looking at. So basically it's a cuff down pattern, so you knit from the cuff. I did it on double pointing needles. I worked the cuff, the straight bit, worked the heel, and then I worked round, and then when I got to, hang on, I've got any more photographs? Yeah, I've got another one. Then basically you get your stitches back to the same amount of number you had before you worked the heel, and I'd got eight less stitches than I should have had. So I had a look back at the pattern, and I can't see why I had 8 less. So I don't know if it's something that I did or it's the pattern, because sometimes maybe there's a misprint in a magazine, you just don't know, do you? So anyway, I increased my stitches back to the number that it was supposed to be, because the thing is with my foot, now how you normally get your measurement for socks is you measure around the widest part of your foot, and that normally, for most people, that will be the width of their ankle, just above the ankle bone as well. But mine isn't. My ankle is rather slender compared to the width of my foot. So if anything, if I knit a sock to match the width of my foot, it's going to be a bit loose on the ankle. So basically knitting a sock based on my foot measurement and then it decreasing when I got down to the foot wasn't really ideal, so I had to get the stitches back up. Anyway, I did misread the pattern, so I got to the point. Now I did start working the toe. So the toe, like I've put a photograph on, but you probably can't see it. Now the toe was working absolutely beautifully, but it was just way too small, because what it is, I'd misread it. It said to basically, where does it say it now? To stitch I read it that you stitch it so it's for 2 inches and then you start decreasing for the toe, and it's less than the length of the foot. So I thought, well, this does look less than the foot, but I'll work these decreases, maybe it'll work out right. Well, it ended up with like a really tiny foot, so I could have just undone it, right, and then just stitched it a bit longer and then decreased the foot. But because of the thing that happened with the 8 less stitches, I'd kind of lost the love for the pattern a little bit, and I just wasn't loving the yarn anymore. To start with, it was so exciting watching these stripes come together, this self-striping yarn, but I'd just fallen out of love with it. I was just thinking, do I even want to wear this sock? I think what it is, I'd had a late night. Basically, it was bonfire night on the Friday, so I'd worked the sock on the Thursday. I'd worked it on so Thursday evening, Friday evening. It was bonfire night Friday, but we didn't go out Friday. We went next door. We took our fireworks round next door, and we had a bit of a firework party, and then we had a late night, and then this was a Sunday. It was doing this, and I don't know if it's just the late night, and I just got a bit fed up, and I just ripped it all. I ripped the whole thing out. I just was in that kind of mood, right? So, I wasn't sure if to talk about this, but I thought, well, I did spend all a Thursday, a lot of Thursday evening, a lot of Friday evening, and some of Sunday doing this and nothing else. So you think, what have I been doing all this time? So I've kind of left it there now. I don't think I'm going to start casting on for another sock right now, unless it's a bright red sock because it's Christmas related. Maybe I will then, who knows. But I just want to concentrate on the more Christmassy knits and things now. So I put the sock aside, and have I got any more photographs I want to show you? Let me have a look. It's doing something crazy here. Have I got any other pictures? No. Okay. So now I've got nothing else to show you here, actually. So basically, have I? No, nothing else to show you there. So I just thought, well, I'll start knitting, one of these little mice, the thing that I intended to do in the first place. So far, I thought I brought it down with me, actually. Yeah, I have. I've knitted a head. So this mouse is grey. So I've got another little mouse here. So I've actually put the eyes a little bit further apart on this one, because I think that's where you're supposed to put them. I think I put them a little bit close on this one, and I think the ears are a tad closer on this, and I've put them a little bit further apart. But no 2 mice are going to be the same. But this is going to be a little girl. It's going to be a little angel mouse in a little white dress. So I have started knitting her body, but I think I've miscounted on it because I was doing it late last night. So she might end up with a shorter body than the other mouse. I don't know, unless I undo it and start it again. They really don't take very long. So even if I undone the body and started again, it wouldn't be a massive deal anyway. So that is some little bit of knitting I've got going on, the knitted mouse, and I've started a little tiny bit of the shark. I've crocheted just the start of his nose, and I've put that in my bag, and I was intending on taking it to the craft group today to just keep working on that, but I'm getting there's a delivery coming. I've had a notification saying there's a delivery coming. I'm not sure what it is, so I'm going to nip to the shop when I finish filming this bit and get back for the delivery. So unfortunately I can't get to craft group, but I'm getting to film this now instead anyway. And also I've received something I bought on eBay, a second-hand pattern, and it's now, if you've ever seen the Toft dolls, right, they're crochet dolls. Well, actually I'll show you. This is this is my crochet doll that I made, a Toft pattern, and I made this for my youngest son quite some time ago now, quite a few years ago, because you know he's the one that's mad on the sharks and things and sea creatures. I've actually crocheted him a lot of sea creatures and they're all in his bedroom, but this was basically him. I've got a photograph of him in his snorkel and things, and it was basically of him, and he has that in his bedroom. Well, that is the size of the standard Toft dolls worked in double knit yarn. So this pattern is basically a miniature version of the Toft dolls, which I've never made before. Now, the reason I've purchased this, basically you can get the miniature doll pattern as kits on Toft, but you know, my finances, you know, I've got to really watch what I'm spending at the moment, so I'm trying to do things as cheap as I can. So if I can get a pattern on eBay and then just use stash I've got, it's ideal for me. So this is the miniature doll. So what I'm actually planning on doing with this is maybe I will, it's meant to be a footballer, maybe I will crochet a footballer at some point, maybe for my husband, you know, do a few of the Liverpool team for him or something as a bit of a surprise. But I'm thinking of doing an angel. So what I'm thinking of doing is doing the t-shirt pattern and making it longer, maybe increasing the bottom of it a little bit, and making a dress, so it'll be an angel, and maybe doing a little halo and things, and putting wings on the miniature doll, and I'm hoping to put it on top of my Christmas tree. So that is a plan, but I'm not going to start crocheting that yet. Well, I've started the shark, so maybe I'll crochet all of the shark and then maybe I'll start working on this next. But obviously there's a lot of other little crochet things I want to do, because I was thinking, oh, shall I do a Christmas crochet wreath? And I've got the wreath, but like I could put my sprouts on it, you know, the sprouts, but I don't know if I'm going to put the sprouts on there. I might just keep those separate. And or maybe I will put them on the wreath and then take them off and then put some other stuff on them, you know, other items on next year. But yeah, I'm just going to plod along and see just what I fancy doing. There's a hell of a lot of crocheting and knitting and things I want to do at the moment, isn't there? And obviously sewing is taking a little bit of a back burner just because of the time. I'm not getting all that much time really to come in here, because do you know, in the past, if you've watched any of my previous series of videos, what I tend to do is I sew in here when my husband watches football. But what has happened is when the Saturday match is on, it's normally on while we're having dinner, so I'm having dinner anyway, you know, and clearing up dinner and things. And then when the match is on a Sunday, that's when I'd get a lot of sewing time. My eldest son finishes work during that match, so I have to, because my husband's watching football, I have to go off and drive to go and get my son and bring him back, and I just basically lose a lot of that time. So yeah, unfortunately I've lost a hell of a lot of sewing time which I normally would get, you know, so I've just got to find another time that I get to sew. So yeah, it's just time to fit it all in, isn't it, really? So anyway, so I'm going to leave you now, and when I've made a little bit more progress, I'll pop back to you and let you know what's going on in my little stitch diary. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next bit. Bye. I decided to rip the mouse body out and start again just to make sure I'd got the right amount of rows. And this is my progress so far. And she's going to be the little fairy mouse. I might have said angel when I filmed earlier today, but actually she's the fairy. This is how she's looking so far, and this is the magazine that the little knitted mice are in. It's school pickup time, and the reason I'm telling you this is because this is the bag I take out with me in the car, and it's got my hand embroidery suitcase in it, and it's actually got the crochet, the start of the Crochet Shark in there. So if I get a little bit of time in the car while I'm waiting, I'll do a little bit of crafting. So I'll see you soon. This is how she's looking so far. She's looking so pretty, isn't she? She still needs wings and a tail and a little wand, but I'm managing to film because my husband's back from work. We've had dinner and he's in the shower, but he might be coming back soon. But this skirt was a hell of a lot of stitches, 78 cast on. It actually took up the whole of my knitting needle, and it's an extremely long knitting needle, but then you kind of work a few rows and then you start decreasing, so it gets a bit smaller for a waist in the end. But doesn't, oh, she just looks gorgeous, doesn't she? I think these little things look so much nicer made up than they do in the magazines. Right, it's the next day now. This is how she's looking. She's got her little wings, her little wand. I think the only thing she needs now is her mouth. And on the book, they've embroidered round the noses. And if you notice, I haven't done any of the embroidery on mine. I have bought some black thread, but I don't know where it is again. I've just had a look for it, but I'll have another look. But luckily, I thought I was going to have to needle out some little balls, but luckily I found one in my stash, and that's a toothpick. And then I realised the little skier mouse, he's got a bobble hat. So I've put the other one. I had 2 white balls, luckily, so he's got a little white bobble now. So I'd really like to make some more of these little mice, but unfortunately I haven't got enough red yarn to make the Santa. The carol singer one, let me have a look. Just need my little skier mouse. Yes, the carol singer uses a little bit of red for the scarf and the hat. So maybe what I'll try and do is knit up a hat and knit a scarf and see how I get on. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to have enough for Santa. I've only got a tiny little bit left, and they haven't got any in Hobbycraft. I've been in there, so yes, we might only be getting 3 little mice until maybe get Santa next year if I manage to get the yarn. So anyway, I'm off now, and I'll see you soon. Hello again. I thought I'd give this blanket a little bit of a mention, actually, that I showed you in the last frame at 7 a.m. this morning. It is now 20 to 10, but yeah, I thought I'd give it a mention. This is a blanket that I was working on probably a few years ago, and I just leave it here for my cat to sit on. My cat likes to sleep here. And actually, what I am mentioning this, I had a look through, and this, I could actually make it much bigger because this bag has the yarn that I used to make it. So yeah, I could make it much bigger, which I might do. I've actually crocheted a couple of extra squares on it last night. I kind of attach them as I go. And that little felt poppy there, now it's Remembrance Sunday this Sunday, and that poppy was made by my youngest son in primary school. I did a workshop with the children. I went in there and helped them make poppies. Yeah, that's what he came home with 1 year, so I'm super proud. So I've got it sitting on there at the moment for Remembrance Sunday. But yeah, this is basically just my granny square blanket going round in 5 rows, and the yarn is 50% wool and 50% acrylic, but it's really very lovely yarn. Right, welcome back to another day. Now, I feel like I haven't sat in front of the camera for quite a few days now. It is now Friday, the 12th of November. Now, you might be able to hear the sound of children playing, and that's because, do you remember me telling you about, if you've watched my previous videos, about me complaining about all the work that was getting done on the field over the road because they built a primary school there. Well, the school has opened now, so I've actually, luckily for me, I love to hear the sound of children play, but I'm really sorry if it disturbs the video. I suppose I could have waited. Let me know in the feedback if it's annoying, and I can always just make sure I don't film when children are playing outside. Might make filming a bit more tricky because I try and do it as and when I get some time, but there you go. Anyway, now what I've been getting up to, right? Now, I've been knitting the mice, haven't I? And I've got the little fairy mouse here. And she's really adorable, isn't she? I must admit, I'm not over keen on the wings, the pattern for the wings. And I didn't like the placement on the pattern. On the pattern, they were kind of coming out from here and here, but I've put them in the centre because I just felt like that looked better, but they're not particularly a good shape. But overall, I love the pattern. Now, she might have beefier arms than the other mouse, the ski mouse, and beefier tail and maybe feet, because basically the arms and the tail you knit with it's I-cord that you knit on double pointed needles. Now, I couldn't actually find the size that I needed. It's my husband says this, it's like him with spanners. He seems to have loads of spanners and he never has the size he needs, and this is me with knitting needles. You would not believe the amount of double DPNs, cable needles, normal knitting needles I have, but I never seem to have the one I want, unfortunately. And actually, I've started knitting something in the wrong size needle, but I think I'm going to be okay with it, but I'll explain that in a minute. So then I was telling you about I didn't have enough yarn to make the other mice, and I haven't tied in any ends or made a bobble or anything yet, but I have managed to make a little hat for the carol singer. I've not actually knitted the mouse for the carol singer as of yet. I just wanted to see if I was going to be able to make his little bits and bobs. And this is what I've got left. Now, you're meant to knit a scarf that measures, I think it's 28 centimetres. So whether I'll get that out of that, I don't know. Anyway, because I hadn't got any knitting on the go, because basically I'm keeping my embroidery and crochet in a bag to go, which I did show you in this video, and I'm doing knitting when I'm at home, because you kind of have to have your wits about you with knitting. If you're a knitter, you'll understand. There's certain things with crochet you might have to keep your wits about you for a few rows, and then you're the same in knitting. It's all the same. Sometimes you have to keep your wits about you with some rows, and other rows you can just keep going along and just measuring and things. So because I couldn't carry on with the mice at that point, I basically cast on something else. So it's here. Actually, I've been really making good use. Remember this bag that I made when I was doing the Crafty Gemini Bag Club? We made a knitting bag, didn't we? And this is my knitting bag. And I've actually, and it hangs open like this, so you can knit straight out of it. So I have been making good use out of it. And I've got this lovely yarn. Here's a ball that I've not used. It's the Cider West Yorkshire Hawthorn Tweed double knitting, so DK. That's a 50-gram ball. Wow. Yeah, normally, basically, I'm knitting socks with it. I've gone back to the socks, and hence I said I'd only knit some more socks if they were Christmassy. Now, normally you'll knit socks in something like 4-ply, something finer, but these are going to be chunky, and the pattern well, chunky socks, but not chunky yarn, if you know what I'm saying. They're going to be chunky for socks, so they're going to be like house socks. And so I've made a start, and I'm using a pattern called I think St Nicholas socks. I'll confirm this. No doubt I'm not going to get these finished for this video, so maybe further down the line I'll dig out the pattern. I haven't got it. I've got it on my iPad, so I can't really show you right now, but I'll show you what I've done so far. And I'm knitting this on, I'm getting all tangled here, on circular needles. So basically it's a toe up pattern. So you start on the toe. It probably looks rather wide at the moment. Yeah, because basically I thought I'll knit up the large, because the small, medium and large the large isn't that big for large, but I'm using knitting needles that are slightly bigger. So I was going to knit up the smaller size, but then when I had a look at the size of the toe at the smaller size, I thought, no, I looked at the width of my foot. I think my foot is quite wide. And so basically I'm actually knitting at the largest size, right? Not that I've got extremely large feet. I'm a size like UK 6. So not the largest of feet, but I'm knitting up the largest size in this pattern, and I'm actually using the needle a little bit bigger. And I didn't do a swatch. What you meant to do is you knit up a swatch and then you test it, but I didn't bother because I thought, I'm doing a toe up pattern, I'll just keep doing it until I think it's going to fit. So if I just put it back, slide it along here, I've put my foot in it, and I think that's going to fit my foot lovely. And maybe when I get to the ankle, maybe I'll decrease some stitches if I can do it in a complementary way, to make it a bit more snug on the ankle. I'll just see. But what you do with this pattern is that when you get to your cuff, you knit it. Well, it's meant to be like boucle, is it? Well, I think it was something like a boucle, but I'm going to be using this side art alpine. I might do, I might not. I might end up doing a ribbed cuff sock, maybe, I don't know. And I might really make use of these balls and just keep going and keep going. They're both the same size, so just make the sock as long as I can. Or maybe I won't, I don't know. Yeah, maybe there could end up being like Wellington socks for Christmas, and then the fur would stick out the top. But don't expect to see that anytime quick. I'm just going to pick that up as and when. So embroidery, hand embroidery. This is my little suitcase I take out with me. I've now finished doing the hand embroidery on the knitter block. Do you know these blocks I keep showing you all the time? Because I do 2 or 3 of these a month, don't I? These thingies. Well, I've now done the knitter. I've got to basically do the applique letter, and then I machine blanket stitch on. So I do all this embroidery. I'm making a point of this because somebody said, oh, I thought you hand embroidered all of these, because I showed a clip of me machining the letter on. But I do hand embroider all the red stitch in here, but I just machine stitch the applique letter on with a blanket stitch. And then you are supposed to hand stitch the binding down, the fold over binding, but I actually machine it on. I did it on the first one, so I've got to continue really. So I've done the K for knitting. That was quite with everything going on at the moment. I do a lot of knitting in the winter and crochet and things. Soon as, like, you know, and I kind of do a lot of knitting and crochet, kind of like Christmas, like autumn Christmas, and then I kind of get spurred on usually Easter time, Easter makes and things. But I've kind of built up a lot of Halloween knits and things, haven't I now? And I've done a lot of Easter things. I'm not saying I'll never knit or crochet Easter or Halloween again, but you get to the point where you just have enough. So I might, like, you know, do other things, maybe do more garments, things to wear and things, if I get to the point where I've got too many cuties. Anyway, I've actually started doing the next one, and this has come up really quick actually. I haven't got much more to do. I've just got to do the jelly roll writing and just continue this little bit round here, but I've not got much to do at all. And in fact, if I hadn't have started knitting that sock, I probably would have finished that. But I'm not taking the knitting out with me, but I take this out with me. And the plan is to take my crochet out with me. What it is, I think it's really nice if you like to knit and crochet and embroider. I think it's really nice to have an embroidery project on the go, a knitting project on the go, and a crochet project on the go. So when you're in the mood for something, or you say you need something to grab quickly, you haven't got time to settle, you've got something there and then. So if I get the urge to knit, or something's there, if I get the urge to crochet. And you normally find, if you knit or crochet, you might like doing blankets. Now blankets tend to go on for years. If you right, I had a blanket that just I used to take out just when my boys were playing, were swimming. It is here somewhere. Is it here? Can you see it? Oh, yeah, there it is. I can see it on film. This one. This went on years, this crochet blanket. I don't want to it's caught on something. But it was really lovely to have. I just kept it in a bag and I took it swimming when my boys were swimming. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is just delightful. Like was never really into blankets all that much. I find it a bit boring and whatever, going on. I prefer like more intricate things because I find them more interesting. But I don't know if it's the power of meditation, because I do like yoga and things, and I have had a bash at meditating here and there, and I don't know if that's really helped with my crafting. Do you know, when I've got to do something really like it's not that thrilling, do you know, like for example, do you know, like the crochet snake, that was a very long piece of just crocheting it every bit round and round and round and round and round, going on forever. And obviously I don't normally enjoy just this repetitive. I like to be challenged, I like to follow the pattern and what kind of thing. So I think learning to be different with your mind, it prepares you for doing long boring things in crafting, because if you want a finished thing, sometimes you have to go through that boring side of thing. Anyway, something else is going to be a taking out project, which I told you in a previous video, but you've not seen any of it yet. Now, I'm crocheting the shark for my son. Now, I'd really like to get this done this month in November, because it's not Christmassy. I think when I get to December, I really just want to be doing things that are Christmassy, unless it's dressmaking anyway. So basically I've photocopied the pattern onto here, but my ink is running out, so some of it hasn't printed out very well, but I've done it so I can basically cross out every line and do a tally and things, and I haven't got to wreck the actual pattern. And I haven't touched the cream yet, and I keep a pen in here for marking, my crochet hook. This is the main body, and this is what I've done so far. There, in all honesty, I think it looks, I've looked at the picture of the shark and I thought it does look a bit of a weird shape, really, but things look different when they've been stuffed. But yeah, I think this is the face of the shark, I presume. I think that's where you're starting from, and then we'll work down the body. But yeah, I've just got to the point where I've done all the increasing, and now I'm going to be just basically crocheting round and round and round for so many rows, quite a few rows, until I get to the next bit. So that's what's happening with that. So yeah, so I've got lots going on, really. But let me just pop those back in. So it's quite nice. I'll put that there actually. So it's quite nice that I've got a project bag I can just take out, whether it's embroidery. Having said that, the embroidery is nearly finished, so then I'll be having to do the sewing bits in the craft room and things. And I got really excited because I thought, oh, I've bought some more red to do the mice, but look, it's not the same colour. That's like more of the scarlet deep red, and that's this red, look, this little red one, and that's that red. It's different, isn't it? So I don't know if I want to do the Santa Christmas mouse in that red when all the others, but I don't know, maybe it will look okay. Maybe with the mice maybe hanging on my Christmas tree all spread out, the Santa mouse will look okay. But I might, I don't plan on knitting those just yet, unless I do. I might maybe keep working on the sock, I don't know. Anyway, right, in here, I've had to order something for my son. Now, if you've been watching me a while, and this has been going on probably a few years, my middle son is into costume play, cosplay, which is what they call it. And the plan was he's going to Comic-Con and getting an outfit made. Anyway, we didn't know if it was going ahead, and then I didn't buy a ticket. We've managed to sort his outfit, but the other things we've bought, I have got to make something, but we haven't managed to get tickets, and it's this weekend. So I have got some desperate pleas out on social media saying, has anybody got tickets for Comic-Con Birmingham this weekend? Obviously, he's really not happy with me for not getting a ticket, but in my defence, it's really crept up on me quicker than I thought. It's just jumped at, I just thought, I didn't actually think it was this weekend. I thought it was the weekend after. And a friend of mine said, oh, don't bother getting tickets. She knows someone that could get some tickets. So I kind of sat on it, and it's basically sold out, and you can't buy tickets on the door. So what the plan is, he's still going to get dressed up. This is awful, isn't it? He's still going to get dressed up. His friend is going to get dressed up. We're going to pick them up. We're going to take them to the NEC. So we're going to see like everybody going in and everybody dressed up and get their photographs taken. Be a part of the hysteria, hysteria, if that's the right word, of the excitement of everybody going in there and things in their outfits. And then obviously you can't get in unless someone's selling some tickets on the door. Maybe they would be, fingers crossed. And if we don't have a stroke of luck getting them in there, then we'll just do something around Resorts World with them, take them out for lunch and do stuff like that. But this is for his birthday. This is for his 17th birthday. He's not 17 until the 18th of the month, but this is the weekend before. But he's got, I'll show you the character that he wants to go as. The character is called Frank. He's from a new game that he plays. And if you have a look, it's got this unusual scarf. So my husband has bought him a suit, right? And a polo top kind of thing with a long sleeve. And my job is to make the scarf. Now, the scarf is predominantly red, and it's got like white bits, and it doesn't give you a good view. So what I've done is, and it looks like a silk kind of scarf. So from Amazon, I ordered just an inexpensive white scarf, like a silky scarf, probably not real silk or anything, white and red. These are them. And what my plan is, I'm just basically going to cut bits off it and sew it on, but I've got to do it quite quickly. It's Friday, and he needs it for Sunday. So yeah, I've got to basically crack on and get sewing doing this. So thank you so much for joining me today. I don't know how much footage I've got at the moment, but I'm not going to leave it here. But what I'll do, I'll be very mindful when I come back to finalise a video. And so yes, I'll see you in the next bit, and I'm guessing that will be the final bit. So thank you for joining me so far, and I'll see you in the next bit. Bye. Right, I'm back briefly. I've just had a look at these scarves, and I think if I try and cut bits off, it's just going to be totally ruined. So what I'm thinking of doing is, and as well, the white doesn't really cover the red very well either. I'm thinking of basically sewing the two scarves together and just letting him wear them as a red and white bit. So what I'll do is I'll sew it together, and then he can kind of, do you know what I'm saying? I could kind of twist it, and it kind of has that look about it then, doesn't it? So I'll have a little chat with him later. I'll sew it together, see what he says. I might just serge it on the overlocker now with my white thread, the white threads on there, and see what he says, and see if I can get away with cutting it all to shreds, because I think it's just going to be ruined. So another thing is, Elizabeth that watches my channel, she told me about a website that you can get some free patterns off. I think it's called Craft World, and there are Toft patterns on there, and I've printed some out. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. I've been meaning to mention this in a previous video, but I totally forgot. And so yeah, there is a few nice little things on there, so yeah, it might be worth checking that out. You just have to register your email and then like basically start an account, and then you can access the free patterns. And just to let you know, Crochet Now, there's a new issue out today, the 11th of November, and there's going to be a magazine in it with some tough patterns as well. So it was, oh no, it's the 12th today, sorry. It was 11th yesterday. I went into Hobbycraft, that's how I've ended up getting this. Basically they didn't have it in, but when a magazine gets released, it is a bit of a tall order going on the day that it gets released. You're normally better waiting a few days. I've managed to order my copy today from craftstash.co.uk, and it's issue 75, I think, and I've ordered mine online, and it's a print copy and it's going to be delivered. I don't know if you get it digitally, if you get the tough patterns. In all honesty, I really don't know, so I don't want to say just get it digitally and you'll get the tough patterns, because I'm really not sure about that. Often you do get a free booklet, but sometimes you don't when you have the digital ones. It all depends. So anyway, I'm going to leave you now, and I'll be back soon. Okay, bye. Right, I have a little bit of a tip for you, just in case somebody doesn't know this. Now, can you see where I've started sewing here? Now, I haven't stitched forward and back, but it did do that a little bit, but you can actually pull it through at the back. See, I've got this tail here hanging out. I don't know how well you can see. It's just more where I started sewing. If you turn to the back, if you have a little bit of a pick, you can pull that through, and now you go back to the front, and that's gone now. So you've got no end. So it's really clever, isn't it? And you can do that when you get to the end as well. When you finish sewing, just pick it through and pull it to the back. It's rather clever, isn't it? Welcome back to the final part of my stitch diaries. It is now Monday the 15th of November, so we've just had the weekend, and it's been quite busy. Do you remember me saying about my son and his cosplay, and we couldn't get tickets? What we ended up doing is he got dressed up in his outfit anyway. We collected his friend, we took them to the NEC, and a lot of the fun is when all the people are getting ready to go in there. There's big queues of people. It's just incredible, really. Do you know, just seeing all these people in the costumes, and a lot of them dress up like characters from computer games. So some of the ones I'd recognise, you know, things like Pokemon, recognise people dressed up in Harry Potter things, recognise Star Wars things, but a lot of the other characters there I wouldn't recognise. But my son and his friend, they were like, oh gosh, yes, we recognise most of them because they're gamers, basically. So it was just so exciting for them, just seeing all these people. Basically, they play like they're kind of like animation computer games, seeing them like come to life in real people. So the costumes are absolutely fantastic. And actually, my son's outfit, like he could have gone to a wedding in it, right? looks so smart. But yeah, he had a plastic blue gun for his outfit, and he was too shy to have it even like on display, because he could have kind of tucked it in the front of his trousers, but he kept it hidden. So yeah, he got a little bit shy. But there are some quite older teenagers there, and even adults, so maybe it's a little bit nervy for him and his friend anyway. So I'll show you a picture of Frank at the game. It's quite a new game he wanted to go as, and then I'll show you my son. Maybe I'll do a split screen, I'm not sure. I haven't actually sorted those photographs out at this present moment in time, but hopefully you're seeing them on the screen now. But yeah, he had a lovely time anyway. We walked around, then we walked over to a place that's right by it, Resorts World. Took them for a Nando's, because this was his this is meant to be for his 17th birthday. He's not 17 until later this week, but it's the weekend before his birthday. So yeah, we took them to Nando's, and basically our oldest son was working, and our youngest son he didn't want to come, unfortunately. So yeah, but we were done and dusted by lunchtime anyway, and then we brought them back home, and they just played. My son's got a VR headset thing. Unfortunately, he is having issues with it. He gets something called stick drift, so he starts spinning around. His microphone doesn't work all that well, but they did have a nice time playing on the VR when it was working properly anyway. So and what I've got here, I've got my knitting mug that I've had some time, and I've got a nice hot chocolate in it, so I'm just going to have a sip actually. I'll move that out the way. So I've just got back from dropping my eldest son to work. It's his part-time job, because obviously he's a student, but he works part-time. He actually he's a barista in a Starbucks. So yeah, I'm very proud of him, bless him. So anyway, I nipped into TK Maxx after, because I've actually finished my box for my nan. Now, so far you've only seen a lid. Don't worry, I have got some other things to show you, but I thought I'll show you the box. And this is the finished box. Oh, I've got something stuck to it. Oh, it's a mouse hand. So yes, it looks okay in the end, doesn't it? I'm rather pleased with it. I've kept the base plain, but I could actually put some decorative card on at the bottom. I might still do that, I don't know yet. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. And that's the inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tissue paper in there, and I've bought some little things for a nan to go inside. So I picked her up something I thought it's not very pretty looking, but I think it's rather useful. I picked this up from Boots actually, cocoa butter. So I did nip into Boots because I needed some earbuds. We've run out of earbuds. So it's basically a hand cream, a cocoa butter, and it softens and relieves rough and dry skin, 24-hour moisture. My nanny's in her 90s, so I thought, she might quite like a hand cream, so I've got that to go in there. And I thought this looks lovely. It's a tin. This was from TK Maxx, and it says Savon Pure Vegetal. I think it's foreign. It looks French actually, something the olive, but it looks very, kind of vintage looking, doesn't it? And obviously my nan's in her 90s. She might remember older times, obviously. Well, of course she remembers older times, but you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I thought she might like that. And inside it's actually a lavender soap. Now, I know my nan loves lavender, right? So there's a lavender soap. I might make her a little lavender bag to go in it as well. That would be nice, because I have got some French dried lavender. Maybe in a nice Liberty fabric or something. And I got her these socks, right? They're really lovely. They look like knitted socks, basically. Do you know, if you was going to knit them yourself in like a Fair Isle design? These are from TK Maxx as well. They've got like a pattern on them. And there is a mixture of things in it. There is some cotton, a very small amount of cotton. There's some polyamide, which is a man-made. There's some polyester, but there's viscose. So elastane, a little bit of wool, a bit of acrylic. There's a bit of everything going on in there. So hopefully they'll be hard wearing and breathable and warm. That's what I'm gathering. But they're a lovely colour, aren't they? I would love those, especially the pink ones. So I'll see what I can fit into this box, actually. Like maybe if that might be a bit of a struggle with that hanger. So what I could always do is take the label off and the hanger and maybe roll them up and tie a little bit of ribbon round them or something. And maybe even I'll wrap this up in a little bit of nice paper, or I could even make a little fabric drawstring bag. I remember my nan does like very floral things from remember when I was growing up, so you know, like being in a house and everything. So yeah, I'll have a little tinker and I'm going to fill it up for my nan. So that's quite a fun thing to do. Now you've seen that I've been working on my little mice, haven't I? So yeah, so I know you've seen these in this video anyway. So that was my one from last year and that's my one from this year. So I do want to carry on, and I've made the carol, I don't know, did I show you the hat? I've made the carol singer's hat, not tied in the ends. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a standstill with that because I bought the red yarn thinking, yeah, you've got more red yarn, and it doesn't match. It's not the same colour cotton, and I want to, if I'm going to continue with them, I want to make them in cotton. So yeah, I'll just see what happens. But I could knit this the carol singer mouse up the body regardless of it anyway, but whether I'll start a Santa mouse I don't know, because I don't know about his red on his thing. So that's a little bit up in the air. But I managed to finish my son's Crochet Shark. Now I'm going to have to show you a photograph of it because my son has basically done a lovely little display on his shelf with the shark on there, with the other things I've made for him, his other sea creatures and his snorkeler doll and things, and I don't want to wreck his little display. But when I'd finished the shark last night, I did get all his other bits out, plus a cushion I made, a patchwork cushion for his bedroom in a sea theme that he picked the fabrics. I've took a photograph of all these things I've made for my son, so I'll put that photograph up on the screen now. So if you can have a good look, can you spot the shark? There is a dolphin that I've made for him before, but then there's the shark as well. So that is Bryce, the toff shark. Now, most of the patterns you see in that photograph are toft patterns, but the small seagull is knitted, not crochet, and that was out of a magazine. I'm really sorry. I've posted this photograph into a group and somebody asked me about the seagull, and I think I got the pattern out of a magazine, a knitting magazine, but unfortunately I knitted it so long ago I just can't remember. So yeah, it's a big job sometimes trying to find the patterns. But and also the little tiny mermaid in that photograph at the bottom left hand corner, from what I believe, she's crochet, but she's out of a magazine also. And I remember I got the yarn with the magazine, and I think it was a Let's Get Crafting Knit and Crochet magazine. I used to subscribe to it. So those are the things that I've completed in this video. So I've completed a little angel mouse and a little hat for another mouse. I've completed the box, and I've completed the Crochet Shark. Now, oh, and I completed the embroidery for these blocks, and I've put the applique letters on, and I've machine stitched the letters on, and that's as far as I've got with those. And I've actually purchased a pattern online. I have mentioned this pattern to you before. It's crochet. It's for my son, my youngest son, and it's a Pokemon. He's called Totodile. Pokemon, and it's one of his favourites. And I have said to him, this might be something I make in the new year, and he said, yeah, that's fine, Mum, don't worry. So, and he said he just had his shark. I was thinking about keeping his shark for Christmas, but I just couldn't help it and I had to give it to him. I just have another sip, actually. Excuse me, thank you. Actually, my other knitting mug that I showed you before, this was from Sewing Street. Oh, hang on, that's hanging out of there. I keep that in here, and I've got all things in it, look. but I had the pink one. You can get that one in grey as well. So I've had a delivery, and I could have spoke to you about this in my last video, but I totally forgot about it. Now, I ordered earlier on in the year and it has arrived. I totally forgot, because if you remember, I'm going to do my own advent calendar this year, and I've been ordering little bits and bobs. So I'm going to make some little bags soon. I'm going to put them all, paper bags, put all the things I've bought in the bags. I know I haven't bought 24 items, but from what I remember, and there's like something I could do. I could break it up into 3, things like that. So I'm then going to put numbers on them. I'm going to put them in my advent calendar, so I don't know what day I'm going to get them. And that was my plan. But I remember earlier in the year, I saw this advent calendar, and it is the Crafty So-and-So advent calendar. And it has arrived. And there is a thing here saying, inside your advent calendar, you will find. Well, I daren't open this because I'm guessing it's going to ruin the surprise of what's in here. But I think it's really useful to have, because if there's any kind of mistake, there's a missing door or some, missing bag or whatever. I haven't opened it, so I don't know. Shall I actually? Oh, they're bags, look. There's a missing one. I don't know what I'm missing, and I could contact them, couldn't I? So that is that to look forward to for December. So not that long to wait. It's 15th of November. So, and what else have I been working on? Oh, do you remember me telling you those dies that I got to make my nan's box? I could make frames. Now, I've kind of bodged this frame together, right? So that is a box frame. But this, I did have to score the lines, but it die cut all the shapes out. So what you do with this, now this set comes with hexagon dies, right? So I think it fits this one, does it? Yeah, so basically you can stick it to this. So you could have a frame, you could have put something in there basically. You could have a framed box. So if I made a different size box, I could actually have a frame. That's too big for that one, isn't it? Yeah, that's too big for that box. But you could have that on top of your lid. But you can also have a card. This is too floppy for a card. You'd probably need to, if you needed, basically, if you don't have card thick enough, right, for a project, do not fear, right, stick a few together. It's amazing how basically my box is each bit I've double-sided it, right, so it made it a bit stronger, so you can kind of do that. But imagine it was a card. You could have a card, look, if the card was hard enough, and you could sit it like that, or you could actually use it as a frame, because obviously you've got the 6 sides. You could make a hinge here, and score a line on it for a hinge, and you could use it as a frame sitting there like that. So what my plan is, I think, eventually when, I don't have a huge amount of time at the moment because of my family, because I've got a husband, 3 teenage boys. Obviously, I've got quite a few pets as well. And I'm running around after them, cooking them meals, dropping them places and things, doing their washing. A lot of my time is taken up. And I don't wish their lives away, wishing them away, because I love having them here. But eventually, when people start flying the nest, obviously, I'm going to have a little bit more time. Eventually, fingers crossed, I'm going to have daughter-in-laws, maybe grandchildren. I think I'll be doing, a lot more paper craft then. So the thing is, what I'd like to do is make special cards. So say if I've got, say if there's a christening, first birthday, I'll be able to make some really fabulous cards with these dies, won't I? You could put lovely things in them, so yeah, so these are things. Just don't forget you've got these things, and then you've got things for the future, haven't you? When time comes, when I've got a bit more. Hopefully what I'd really like is a paper craft desk where I can just leave my paper craft things. So if I need to whip up a card, I think my my mum thinks, oh, can't you just make a card? But she said to me before, sorry mum, this was ages ago. And I'm like, well, it's just such a big deal. Like, you would not believe, I have to get all my paper craft things all over my kitchen island and do it all there. And when I decided to finish off this box, I thought, nobody's home, everybody's out, got it all out. And then my husband came home. He said I nipped home for a while, and then I just got everything out. So do you know what I'm saying? I have a little bit of a nightmare at the moment, because this desk, it has to do everything, and you know, I do so many crafts, it's just not good enough really. So that's why I try to knit and crochet in a different room and keep this for sewing. But then when I get paper craft, you know, what do? I store it in here, but I can't always do the paper craft in here. Anyway, enough of the complaining, because you don't want to hear that. Now, the other thing I've been working on is my Christmas socks. There's some house socks. So I'll show you how I'm getting on with that. Now, if you remember me saying, I'm knitting them on needles that are meant to be too big, and I'm knitting the large, right? So they could be massive, but I was going to knit the smaller size, but when I looked at the toe for the small and I worked it up to the medium, I thought that's not going to fit around my wide foot, because I have got quite a wide foot. So this is how I'm looking so far. Right, so it's growing, it's a toe-up pattern, the St Nicholas socks. I'll give you way more details on this when I finish them. Obviously, I'll do a better description of them, and I'll talk about them a bit more. But yeah, you kind of, actually, I didn't cast, I'll mention this again when I finalise these socks, but I didn't cast on, it was meant to be the Julie's Magic cast on. And I think there's a Tunisian cast on you can do for this method, and a slingshot kind of cast on. Well, I didn't do either, right? I did a cast on that I kind of made up. I made up two in my head, and I decided with one. One of them I'd have been crocheting them onto the needles, but this was a knitting technique. But maybe I should do a video on that, I don't know, because I haven't seen anyone cast on that way for this style of sock, so I don't know, maybe I'll do a video for that. But yeah, that's how they're looking so far. So basically, I've got to keep stitching this, and based on the size of my foot, I've wrote notes, I've got to get these to about 8¼ inches, I think. From there to the end, right? And then I'll start working the heel. So there we go, and then I'll have to knit up the ankle. Whether I'll decrease the ankle a little bit to fit my skinny ankles, I don't know. And then it'll be the cuff, and then it'll be the next sock. So hopefully I'll have these before Christmas. We'll just see. So yeah, I've got to either think, shall I carry on with mice or work on my socks? So as soon as I basically finished that shark last night, I carried on with this. And oh, just to mention with the shark, now I don't know if Kerry Lord from Toft has had the shark pattern printed out more than once, but my pattern, if I crocheted the dorsal fin the shark has on the top, I crocheted it the way it said on the pattern, and it just wasn't right. It was a one that was like this, right? But a shark fin, it kind of, and on the picture as well, and other people's pictures, it slants back. It's like a slanty triangle. So I basically rewrote, I didn't write it down, but I rewrote the pattern in my head, and I did it differently. But I have looked at the hashtag for this shark, and their fins look like the way I've done it. So I don't know if the pattern has been printed out correctly in the past, and then my pattern has been printed out wrong. I don't know, but there's no way my fin would have looked like the picture if I'd have done it like in the pattern. So yeah, maybe I'll take a photograph of that and email it to Kerry and say, and you know, because there might be other people, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But when you kind of like, you know, you can have a son that knows his stuff with sharks, that's going to be very critical of it, then you kind of want it to look right, don't you? So I really hope you've enjoyed seeing what I've made this week. A little bit of, and obviously I did kind of bodge up a scarf. So I've done a little bit of sewing, haven't I? Yeah, so not and a little bit of knitting and a bit of paper craft in this one. So going forward, I think next week I'll probably have a Mandy Shaw unboxing, A Secret Society, I suspect. Don't hold me to it, I might be wrong. And yeah, I want to do a bit more sewing and things, but I'm not sure what. I'm just going to see how it goes, because knitting I'm doing in the evening. So I haven't got a going out project. So if I go to my craft group tomorrow, what will I do? I'll either start a new crochet project, or I'll take the stuff for the mice and start the Christmas Carol mouse. So yeah, I just don't know what I'll do yet. So anyway, so thank you so much for joining me for this week's Stitch Diaries. I have to remember what I call it now, episode 2. And thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.